Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be a really, really important, epic live stream. And it can be used, this live stream can be used to debunk all the conspiracy theories that Trump worked with Russia to ensure that the American people knew that Bernie Sanders was getting cheated by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton. So, and there's no evidence. The intelligence community is moderately confident to highly confident. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Eric, H526, thank you so much for getting the super chat started. Thank you to the super chat. You give me every incentive to keep rocking these live streams. Thank you so very much. Eric, H526, hello, Hal, and everyone. Love you all. Have a great week. We love you, Eric, H526. So we have a couple seconds in, 100 people. This is going to be a really good live stream. All right. Before I read from reputable sources like I always do, Hamilton 68 approved sources. Before I read from sources that can't be called fake news, okay, I'm actually going to read you from CNN, Politico, all of these things. All of these publications that the left loves. And I'll give you my analysis. But you have to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. This is very important. Trump never colluded with Russia. We know because there's no evidence. The DNC was never hacked by Russia. Not only is there no evidence of that, because the DNC never gave its servers, all 100 plus, to the FBI or anyone in the U.S. government, because they were hiding. That's why you would go ahead and outsource. I mean, the conflicts of interest here are just insane. You would outsource the servers to a friendly company purchased by the DNC and Hillary Clinton, CrowdStrike, because you're bluffing, because you have nothing there. That's why there's no evidence. That's why the DNC never gave their servers to the FBI or anyone else in the U.S. government. That's why even the NSA, which knows what kind of underwear you're wearing, is only moderately confident. It's all a bunch of nonsense. The intelligence reports actually have warranty disclaimers. Nancy Volker, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. So there's no there. With Clinton, there's actually a money flow. You actually, like, the Clinton Foundation is an obvious conduit, a quid pro quo, just middleman, or just a conduit for a money laundering scheme. People of everybody from Saudi princes to Trump to Russian uranium companies funnel money into the Clinton Foundation, and then they get beneficial treatment. There's a beneficial outcome. There's a reciprocal outcome that takes place. You have weapons deals. That story was broken by David Sirota, who hates Trump, at the International Business Times with Andrew Perez. There's a weapons deal scandal. There's a UBS scandal that was talked about in the Washington Post and the Atlantic, where they got out of taxes because Hillary intervened, and then they gave money and all that stuff. There's a Boeing. She basically got Boeing a deal in Russia, a $3 billion deal. Okay, that's not the last we've heard with Hillary in Russia. The uranium sale, cash flow to Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal. The agenda. Can Trump confiscate Google for helping HRC hide Gmails? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Trump can do unilaterally. That's a great question. The agenda, you brought up a great point yesterday regarding the servers. Can he just confiscate the servers via executive order? I'm not certain about that. One would think that he could. The Google thing, I'm not sure, because you're talking about a corporation there. But I'm not certain. But let's go ahead. So there's no such thing as collusion, or there's no statute that says you'll go to jail because collusion is a crime. Let me read you a Hill article. Giuliani, collusion is not a crime. Alan Dershowitz has been saying this forever. What Democrats did is they legislated, or they criminalized suspicion. Suspicion is evidence according to Democrats. If you are suspicious about somebody, well, exactly. How is collusion defined? If there is any collusion, it would be Hillary Clinton purchasing the Steele dossier. So, but let's go ahead. Giuliani, collusion is not a crime. President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, on Monday dismissed the investigation into possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, saying that collusion is not a crime. I've been sitting here looking at the federal code trying to find collusion as a crime. Giuliani said at Fox, collusion is not a crime. Of course it's not. The president's attorney maintained that his client is absolutely innocent, and said that the recently released tapes of conversations between Trump and his former lawyer Michael Cohen prove that the president did nothing wrong. Then you have people think progress are like, oh my God, he's downplaying the significance of collusion. Well, is collusion significant? If it is, then why on earth did Hillary Clinton just simply purchase the Steele dossier? Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get notification, please go ahead, just click on copy the link, the YouTube link, and paste it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, if there's people that you know that might enjoy this live stream. By the way, today, really interesting, an old friend of mine emailed me or sent me a message and said, oh, by the way, you know, all the Bernie supporters around, like, that you used to know or whatever, that all my friends are saying, why am I still friends with you? Because you're a big Trump supporter. And I'm wondering how that happened. And this is a very, very nice individual. And I just gave the person my Steam It article, which is really my Facebook post, and which explains why I'm a Trump supporter. And then I let the person know, I said, look, you know what? Bernie is not going to be allowed to win. There's no chance that Bernie wins in 2020. There's no chance that Bernie becomes Democratic nominee. And all he would be doing if he ran as an independent, all he would be doing is rallying support among Bernie voters. And then once he had no chance of winning, he would be then funneling all those Bernie voters back to the DNC. So anyway, that's just a side note. There's no legal statute. There is no legal statute that says collusion is a crime. So what they've done is they've just literally gone ahead and made their suspicion that Trump did something, that he in some way, because it keeps changing. First they say that, oh, well, he helped Russia and WikiLeaks hack the DNC. He was a part of that. Then they don't even have any evidence regarding WikiLeaks, because WikiLeaks did not work with any Russian hackers. Oh, and by the way, the Russian hackers apparently don't exist because they can't find them. But so it went from Trump worked with Russian hackers to the Trump Jr. meeting with a Russian lawyer who was allowed into the country by Loretta Lynch, and who met before and after with Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson. Gamer49, could you host a segment debating if U.S. is a republic or a democracy? Constitution and allegiance to the flag has no mention of democracy, mob rule. I think that we're both. We're a republic. I mean, I don't know if I could do a segment with a debate regarding that, but we have a constitution, but we vote for members of Congress and the president. So we might not be a pure democracy in every sense of the word. We have the Electoral College. That's one example. But we vote for elected officials, and then our laws are based on our Constitution. We don't have is that right? Hold on. Let me see this. Nope. You got me. I'm reading something. So Gamer 49. We're a democratic republic. But thank you, Gamer 49. Thank you. I think when people, like, a lot of times, like, I'll say, like, we're a democracy, and people say, we're a republic. It's like, yeah, I understand that. I get that. But, I mean, it's kind of also the issue of, like, we're not a purely capitalistic society. Pure capitalism is not the hallmark of our society. We have the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. We have laws governing, businesses, but antitrust laws. But we also have Medicare, Social Security, unemployment insurance. These are examples of socialism within the country. That doesn't mean we're a socialist country. Obviously, we're a capitalist nation. But there are elements. There are elements here. So let me read you this. So in a separate appearance on Monday, and then people are like, oh my gosh, look, he's saying it's not a crime now. But before he said he didn't do it. Oh, he's just backtracking. It's like, look, Democrats are going to get crushed in November. They're going to get crushed, absolutely crushed in November. They're not going to win the House. There's zero enthusiasm. And what they're doing also is they're electing, like, extreme people on the extreme left, which is fine if there was an actual progressive movement. There's no actual movement. You can't have a movement strictly on single payer and social issues. You have to go ahead, and your foreign policy can't simply be hating Israel. That's not an anti-war policy. Hating Israel is not an anti-war policy. It's just hating Israel. And you can critique Israel. It's fine. Fine. No, I critique Israel too. But you can't just completely omit Hamas. Completely forget that Fatah and Hamas hate each other. We can go into it. I'm not going to go into it. But my point is, like, people like, whether it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or a whole lot of others, there are a lot of other like progressive candidates running in red states. Okay, that's fine, but understand that the Bernie Sanders movement of 2016 is gone. There is no Bernie Sanders movement anymore. It's been completely obliterated. Trump hate has taken over almost the entire left. Almost the entire left. So at the end of the day, progressives are going to eventually, I'm not apologizing for Netanyahu. See, that's the thing. You bring up Hamas and suddenly you love Netanyahu. How does that work? Oh, it's always that way. It's never like, like you bring up one point and then suddenly you are labeled in one, suddenly you are this label. But anyway, Bernie's movement, there is no movement anymore. The DNC controls Bernie's movement. So let me just read you this. Mueller has indicted a number of Russian nationals and organizations on charges of conspiring to hack. That doesn't mean that, so what, into U.S. systems and waging social media campaigns intended to boost Trump's presidential campaign and sow discord. But there's no evidence of that. So he's indicted a lot of people, but there's no evidence of that. That's the thing. So what? If I don't bring that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant because the thing is, I mention Hamas because nobody on the left talks about Hamas. Everyone on the left talks about Netanyahu. So yeah. So if you ask me, are the settlement is it good that Israel's building settlements? No. But you have to understand, there's no peace there. There's no peace between both sides. There has to be. I believe in a Palestinian state. I believe there should be a Palestinian state. But can I ask people, how often do you hear all the usual people who hate Israel talk about a Palestinian state? Just how often do you hear that? Not national. Oh, here we go. The nationalism for me, but not for the go. If you want, if the notion is of a white state, okay, then you couldn't even, like, Richard Spencer hasn't even described what a white state would be. Even when he is asked, he wouldn't know. You know what a Jewish state is. You know what a Muslim state is in Saudi Arabia. Richard Spencer, I already debated him. He doesn't even know what a white state is. So and we do have, there's nationalism. It's called the United States of America. It's called France. It's called Germany. It's like, doesn't make any sense. Like 6 million Jews are murdered, and then there's an ancestral homeland, and like, no, you can't have that. Gamer49, is anyone else willing to super chat the Republic versus Democrat debate of the U.S.? It is the biggest misunderstanding of the founders' intentions. Gamer49. I'm sure there's a lot of people. I mean, it is an interesting thing. It is an interesting discussion. It is very much an interesting discussion. It is very much an, well, I mean, then you can go back to only males could vote, and then you had to be of a certain status, and a whole bunch of, I mean, we've evolved both as a republic and as a, Europeans do have one. Europeans have Sweden, France, Germany. They have a homeland. They have homelands. If you're French, you could, I mean, you're born in France, or there are European countries. I don't understand, QAnon, I'm not really into QAnon at all. I don't think there's anything to QAnon other than perhaps somebody knowing something. It could be a psyop. It could be, I mean, yes, just because, let's say, Q or L or M or N or whatever, or any letter is accurate on certain things, doesn't mean they're not leading a whole bunch of people away from reality. So, but yeah, I mean, the issue of whether we're a republic or, I think that we're both. Just like, we're not a purely capitalist society. There are elements of socialism. That doesn't mean we're a socialist society. But anyway, this is interesting. Getting into discussions with the live chat is fun. It's interesting. Collusion is not a crime. He never committed a crime, number one, and he never committed what they think he did. All of it was about donors, ladies and gentlemen. It has nothing to do with. Thank you, Texanon. Thank you. What took place with Trump Russia has nothing to do with the American people. It has nothing to do with anything but donor money. The issue with donors, the issue with what took place with Trump Russia is that once Hillary Clinton, she spent $1.2 billion. She spent $1.2 billion. And she lost $1.2 billion. So that's the main thing. Alan Dershowitz has. And one side note regarding the whole Israel and Palestine thing. Okay, so I know I'm like jumping into opening up a can of worms here, but here's one little fact or piece of reality that people who hate Israel don't understand. Okay, you are not going to shame Israel into like leaving, like just like ceasing to exist. So I do understand that there are horrible things that take place in the occupied territories, or in Gaza and West Bank. I understand. Okay, when I bring up Hamas, that's part of the equation as to why there's no peace and as to why there's a lot of craziness. I'm not saying that Israel is 100% justified. What I am saying is all you hear on Twitter is, look what Israel's doing. It's horrible. It's horrible. Well, okay, they should cease to exist. Okay, what do you want them to do? Like all the Jews just leave Tel Aviv and just leave their country? They're just going to leave after fighting wars in 48 and 67 and 73 and other wars against numerous Arab armies, and they still survived. What do you like? My thing is like, what do people who hate Israel want Israel to do? They want Israelis to just pack up and leave? It's not going to happen. Okay. Similarly, the Palestinians aren't going to pack up and leave either. So there has to be peace, negotiations. There has to be a two-state solution. That's it. And time is actually on Israel's side. It's not on the Palestinian side. So it behooves the Palestinians to actually work for a state. Hamas and Fatah have to work together. They don't like each other. They're actually still at like a civil war with each other. That's what people don't understand. But anyway, I'm just talking to myself. There's no collusion. There is no collusion here. So there is no collusion. There's no law against collusion. So Dershowitz. Collusion. Dershowitz on the Russia Council. Where's the crime? So here we go.
Well, Democrats like Congresswoman Maxine Waters have hailed the appointment of a special counsel to investigate Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Russia became when Stalin was told by Lavrenti Beria, show me the man and I'll find you the crime. What is the crime?
So Dershowitz asks, what is the crime? Which is true. He didn't commit any crimes. There is no crime. So
Professor Dershowitz joins us tonight. Professor, I was really struck by this. I don't think he was a big Trump supporter, but you asked a question I haven't heard anybody, I know that. You asked a question nobody has asked, which is, what's the crime to which the...
I was asking that like the beginning of 2017 on my channel.
The special counsel is responding. What is the answer?
Well, first, I'm here not as a supporter of Donald Trump. I voted for Hillary Clinton very proudly. I'm here as a supporter of civil liberties and construing statutes narrowly as they were written. I just don't see a crime here. I see perhaps some political wrongdoing. I see leaking information on both sides. But even if, for example, the campaign coordinated, which there's no evidence of, but coordinated its activities with Russia, and even if Russia and the campaign said, gee, wouldn't it be better if Trump were elected, that's political wrongdoing, but it's just not a crime.
So even if the worst nightmare of of Democrats becomes reality, it's still not a crime. Listen to this again.
But even if, for example, the campaign coordinated, which there's no evidence of, but coordinated its activities with Russia, and even if Russia and the campaign said, gee, wouldn't it be better if Trump were elected, that's political wrongdoing, but it's just not a crime.
So there is no crime. There's no crime. And that's the issue here. There is no crime. There's no crime that they can say, like Hillary Clinton, she did transfer top secret and special access program intelligence from SIPRNet, JAWIX, and SCIFs from secure locations within the United States government where only classified and highly classified and top secret and special access program intelligence reside. So there is no crime. With Clinton, there's many crimes. She did commit crimes. She did commit crimes, but with Trump, even if he did what they don't have any evidence of him doing, even if that took place, they couldn't charge him with any crime. So it's like they're even losing at being corrupt and spewing propaganda. They suck even at propaganda and cheating. All the base, horrible, disgusting, corrupt, actions that they pride themselves in, they're inept even at that.
And Hillary Clinton.
I just clicked myself. Okay.
Nobody can point me to a statute that would be violated. And the prosecutor is only allowed to look for evidence of a federal crime. And the reason I think Trump may benefit from this is this will be a secret proceeding. Mueller is a very honorable guy, so he's not going to leak anything. And in the end, he's going to find no crime. Maybe he'll issue a report, which in my view would be improper because he only hears half the evidence, only the prosecutor's part of the evidence. But he will say there's no crime. Maybe the worst case scenario for the Trump administration is maybe Flynn gets indicted for lying. President probably pardons him at that point. But it's 2 years from now or a year and a half from now.
So Dershowitz is saying this May 2017. He's right. He's right on. He's right on. I mean, he is just basically telling you exactly what's taking place a year plus, before it happens.
But in the meantime, he has a reprieve. If they had appointed an independent investigatory commission, the whole story would come out, and then it would depend on whether it's inculpatory or exculpatory. The public would know. But now it's going to be done in secret behind closed doors, and all we get in the end is no indictment or a low-level former official gets indicted. And I think in the end that helps the Trump administration, not hurts them. But I want to get
in the end, and he's right about this. So Dershowitz is a very intelligent guy. He's not right about everything, but nobody is. But he's a very, very intelligent guy. And all this does is help Trump. That's all it does. All this does is help Trump. All this does is when you consistently attack your political opponent, you have nothing there. When you consistently attack your political opponent with baseless allegations, and then you start believing those allegations, and then you start saying, "Oh my God, this is, this could be the case, or that could be the case, or what about this? What about that?" And all of these dumb, stupid accusations with zero evidence. Eventually, what happens is there's like this Teflon coating that takes place. That everything just bounces off. Then they become made of Teflon. He was already made of Teflon prior to this. He won the election. He won the election by saying he grabbed what, or after saying even with the knowledge that he said, I grabbed what. He still won. 53% of white women are like, what? I'd rather have Trump. So, I mean, it's unheard of. Hillary was such a horrible candidate. Such a horrible candidate that you couldn't even get people to not vote for Trump, even though He said that on a hot mic. And then they spun it to like, oh, well, he's an avowed sex offender. No, that's not an admission of anything. You have no idea if he's lying. And there are no women who are saying he grabbed me at that location. So that's another thing that's going on here. I love my live chat because it's I think that people either use my voice to like fall asleep sometimes or just like in the background. But I want you to enjoy yourself. You keep yes,
He's
enjoy.
going to find no crime. Maybe he'll issue a report, which in my view would be improper because he only hears half the evidence, only the prosecutor's part of the evidence. But he will say there's no crime. Maybe the worst case scenario for the Trump administration is maybe Flynn gets indicted for lying. President probably pardons him at that point. But it's 2 years from now or a year and a half from now. And in the meantime, he has a reprieve. If they had appointed an independent investigatory commission, the whole story would come out. And then it would depend on whether it's inculpatory or exculpatory. The public would know. But now it's going to be done in secret behind closed doors. And all we get in the end is no indictment.
And then they're like, oh, look at all his indictments. The indictments. Thank you, Denise. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you, Rumi. Thank you, all of you. You guys and gals are all wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And so at the end of the day, Dershowitz was right. You're not going to, and then there's the issue of the interview. Why would Mueller should have interviewed Clinton? You had Peter Strzok, and this live stream is going to be off the hook when the Office of Professional Responsibility fires Strzok and all that, or what? Yeah, he's not technically fired, I don't think, but basically comes down on Trump. I mean, on Strzok. So, I mean, all of these, the Office of Professional Responsibility is going to come down hard on all of these people. There's an investigation regarding James Comey right now, whether he leaked classified information, which he did. These precedents can't be allowed to take place. That's why, like the writing's on the wall regarding Hillary. She's going to go ahead and get eventually indicted and charged because she's a walking criminal. But also, like, you can't have the precedent of Comey of a Comey memo. Then there'll be other memos with other special counsels. At the end of the day, it hurts Democrats too. You can't simply fabricate an entire facade hoax and then use bureaucracy to justify the fabrication. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. And I want everyone to listen to HA After Dark, to just let them go to sleep. It's better than like crashing waves or or like, dolphins or, whale sounds or whatever. Anyway, let's continue with Dershowitz.
Or a lower level former official gets indicted. And I think in the end that helps the Trump administration, not hurts them.
But I want to get back to your first point, which is that there's no crime even being alleged. So I'm hearing Democrats every night say it's likely that the Trump campaign coordinated with the Russians on the timing of the WikiLeaks dump.
There's zero evidence of that. They have no idea how WikiLeaks. They have no idea how WikiLeaks obtained the emails, published the emails, and again, ay. Like the whole issue. Part of the intelligence reports and part of the whole stupid, absurd nonsense is that Russia wanted voters to vote for Jill Stein and Bernie Sanders. And then Bernie doesn't even, he doesn't care. He's just like, whatever. The issue I have with QAnon is that I don't know who it is. And because I don't know who it is, I don't care if the information originally was good or the information is not good. I have no idea what a person's motive is. you pretty much know what my value system or what my motive is. When I make a change, whether it's from Bernie to Trump, that transition you can see. I mean, people have watched my transition and they've said, wow, it's been fun. It's been great watching your transition. You know, it's been great watching your evolution, transition, whatever. I don't know what this letter is. And if the letter is right sometimes and then wrong sometimes, but then steers a whole group of people one way, if the letter says, hey, go over there, there's that wonderful cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff will be all the answers to everything. I know that is dangerous because then people will be like rushing towards the end of the cliff. You know? No, I am not. But let's continue.
If there's no evidence of that, but if that turns out to be true, that's not a crime?
Of course not. Why would that be a crime? It would be like the Washington Post publishing WikiLeaks. As long as the Trump administration or no individual told them to hack the DNA, that would be obviously
The DNC.
very different, or gave them information that was useful in hacking the DNA, but just knowing that they hacked the DNA, taking advantage
DNC.
of that fact, it's not a crime.
So that's the whole thing. It's like, that's the whole thing. Like, all of this is not a crime. First of all, there's no hack. He meant DNC, but there's no crime. There's no crime in any of this. There's no crime. He's not accused of a crime. There's no evidence of a crime. And the only evidence of criminal activity always points back to Hillary Clinton.
So this whole, so why that, I mean, you know, I've been doing this almost every night for 6 months, and I'm embarrassed to admit I've never thought about the point that you made, not one time. And why is there then a special counsel panel here?
There shouldn't be. Look at the letter. The letter says you should look into the Russian thing and anything that grows out of it. Nobody points to any kind of crime, and there can't be obstruction of justice for the president to fire Comey. That's his constitutional.
That's another thing. Comey gets fired, and he's like the most vile, corrupt person, one of the most vile, duplicitous, slimy slime balls in U.S. history. And that's it. Like, they don't even, he should have been fired under Obama. He writes the Comey letter. Everyone hates him. Then, because Democrats are just so yearning for some kind of credibility, they're like, oh, well, we like you back. You're an intel chief. Then he writes these memos, which are recollections, because people were so upset that he got fired because they were just about to find some kind of Trump-Russia collusion. And then they're like, well, you know, he's gonna go ahead and appoint his own FBI director. So we need to go ahead and have a special counsel based on nothing, based on zero evidence. A special counsel based on zero evidence. And so it makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. I mean, all of this is simply an extension of the Democratic Party's group therapy session for their donors, for their donor base. The donor base looks at the millions upon millions of people who were crying and who were disheartened and shocked and crushed, like they'll be crushed again in November and crushed again in 2020, and says, oh my goodness, well, he could not have won. There had to have been some reason. It's Trump-Russia. That's called a conspiracy theory. That's called a conspiracy theory. Exactly. Trump derangement syndrome is, that's what it is. Then you have John Huber. Exactly. You have John Huber. So you have John Huber who's going to go ahead, hopefully, and serve as an independent special counsel, a walking special counsel. He has to go to D.C. and then impanel a grand jury. But we got 400 people here. It's taking a little while to move up the ladder, but we're doing it eventually. But now people like I got emails today from people I know. So Tech Epiphany, thank you so very much. Tech Epiphany. I am in Russia right now. I'll create a Twitter account and retweet some pro-Trump and pro-Bernie things. Will I get indicted? Tech Epiphany, thank you so very, very much. You will not get indicted. You will not get indicted. The issue here is Trump, the Mueller probe could not even so Tech Epiphany, thank you so very, very much. The Mueller probe couldn't even find the Russian hackers. That's so hilarious. But see, that's the thing. Even if the person knows too much, you don't know who the person is. You have to be careful. A person could know a lot and be credible. Credibility is one thing. Who the person is another thing. The person's motivation is another thing. Thank you, Mr. Deplorable. I think people focus too much on credibility because we're so starved for what's really going on. We're so starved. Evan Coker, FBI covers for Hillary's crimes. Remember, the same FBI denied the existence of the mafia. Well, for 30 years. Wow. Don't fall for the BS. Exactly. Evan, wow. That's right. Evan Coker, you are right. Evan Coker, thank you. Thank you, Evan. I agree 100% with you. But getting back to Q really quickly, it's not, one can debate whether Q or L or M or whatever letter knows things that other people don't know. The issue is it's a completely anonymous person or people hiding behind the letter. You have no idea what their motivation is in steering, perhaps tens of thousands of people in one direction or another direction. That's the issue. When I hear people say, trust the plan, that's scary. That's frightening. You should be petrified when you hear trust the plan. Especially when it's no, trust the plan. Assange is okay. He's not. Trust the plan. This is going to happen. Well, it's not. You don't know what the plan is. Every day we could be, God forbid, hit by a truck. Every day you take, your life in your hands, and especially in a big city. Assertions without evidence is the new mode of DNC media. Chas 1422. Exactly. Assertions without evidence, the new mode of DNC media. I honed skills as a skeptic during evolution versus ID debates. Evidence supporting assertions, the basis of modern self-evident independent thought. Exactly. Evidence supporting assertions. Exactly. You need evidence. Evidence without assertions is exactly what the DNC and the media do. Assertions, without evidence. Assertions without, exactly. Well, you know what they've done, Chas 1422, and I agree with you 100%. And Evan Coker, thank you again. Chas 1422, what they do is they've criminalized suspicion. They have redefined suspicion. They've redefined suspicion as evidence. Suspicion is not evidence. Suspicion is you think someone is engaged in wrongdoing because of who they are. Fine. There's also suspicion with Clinton. My buddy Sean sent me this. How Trump lost re-election in 2020. Oh my God. This is with all due respect to the author. Oh my God. Donald Trump, who spent much of the past 4 years as an historically unpopular president, lost his bid for re-election Tuesday. His approval rating hasn't approached 50% since he took office. So the polls cannot. That's another thing. Polls cannot accurately reflect Trump because there's always going to be a certain segment of the population that don't want to say that they really like him. I don't care. I'm already out. I remember before even becoming a Trump supporter, I was actually going to talk to certain friends to see if they would still be my friend. That's how crazy it is. But then I'm like, you know what? That's ridiculous. Where am I going? That's insane. So Shaz1422, yeah. But now I have to read this hilarious thing. In an era of deep national anxiety, why? This economy is good. Our foreign policy, we're not in any major regime changes. The anxiety is that Trump is president. And then they're worried about Trump-Russia collusion, which is stupid. That's not... With stagnant wages. Oh, okay. Wages have been stagnant for years. Wages have been stagnant for years. And here you have January 29th. Wages, Obama's economy's weakest link, now surging under Trump. That's in January. So, wages did not grow this quarter, I don't think. But and so, in short, wages are starting to rise fast. The trend that is expected to continue as companies invest more, add jobs, and look for more qualified workers to do them. This is an investor's article. Since 2009 recession, wage growth for workers has been stuck at 2.5% or lower, compared to a 3% plus rate for wages. Okay. In prior years. So wages have been stuck at a low rate of increase for a long time. Everything, see, this is the thing. Everything bad took place under Trump. It never took place under Obama to these people. There's nothing that took place under Obama there's nothing bad that people are talking about that ever happened under Obama, apparently. Even as so this is earlier this year, but even as the economy continued its modest recovery in recent years, there was one critical missing element: wages. Despite unemployment declines, wage gains remain tame. That's all under Obama. So there's a growing economy now, and that's the thing. There's a growing economy despite. So then this article talking about how Trump's going to lose in 2020. Trump's not going to lose. To who? To who? Joe Biden? I want to know who. The best part of this article is that they don't list who won. The Democrats paired their message with broadly popular economic proposals. Tax increases on the rich. That's, yeah. Expanded Medicare and child care. That's good. Free community college and highlighting an unfulfilled and highlighting an infrastructure program. Yeah, that's good, but combined with regime change, which is what Democrats push for all the time, and war with Russia, which is what they're alluding to / pushing for, and cheating their most progressive candidates, they're already saying that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not viable, just like they said with Bernie. So they don't even believe any of this stuff. Tax increases on the rich are not going to they're not going to give the money needed for expanded Medicare or child care. But again, I mean, that whole thing, the money needed, we go into wars without worrying about. So I do understand that mentality. Like, hey, listen, Ocasio-Cortez said something that I do agree with. She said we need to reprioritize. That's true. The first priority should be bringing home our soldiers from war. That's what drives me. That's what drives me. That's what drives me. They can't, that's what always, like, people say, well, what about this? What about that? That's the most important thing for me. Far more important than any other issue is the fact that we have soldiers in Yemen, Syria, which Obama sent, the Nobel Peace Prize, Iraq, Afghanistan. We have special forces throughout the world. And we should not be doing the fighting that the Iraqi army in Afghanistan, the army in Afghanistan that we've helped train and fund should do. Our soldiers should be brought home tomorrow. That's it. We shouldn't have soldiers. We shouldn't have. Thank you, Senor Cisco. GOHMERT para de la gente. Senor Cisco, thank you. There's an awesome graphic of Gomer. So you can't have, like, there's like, okay, on the left. Thank you, Rumi. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Bring our soldiers home. And that's to Democrats, that's like a nationalistic sentiment. So they just hate Israel. Or no, the progressives, people on the left, are like, what's our anti-war stance? F Israel. That's it. That'll resonate. And then people are like, well, there's a little bit more to the Hamas, Islamic Jihad, all these things. A little bit more. Look at the whole picture. But that's the thing. We have to bring our soldiers home. Bring our soldiers home, and also understand that when we engage in military operations abroad, if, God forbid, there's a calamity, the first it's mission creep. The first reaction will be, we got to send more soldiers. Well, they're already there. That's what one thing that Reagan did in Lebanon. He brought our soldiers back. The Marine barracks, horrible tragedy, attack, brought our soldiers out of Lebanon. We didn't go ahead. Reagan lived, and so did Carter, under the specter of Vietnam. We learned the limits of what we could do militarily anywhere because of Vietnam. Then we forgot about that with Desert Storm. And then Bush completely just said, you know what? Look, I'm not a hypocrite at all, Jay. I'm not a hypocrite at all. Because we were told that there's two options, Jay. Two options. We had lesser evil. That's why we had to vote for Clinton. Lesser evil. The objectively less militant candidate or person is Trump. He's the objectively less militant. He's not into regime changes. Okay? I voted for Jill Stein. I wanted Bernie primarily because he was purely anti-war. Now he's pushing the Russia myth, so I don't understand that. You're not a hypocrite. If the least hawkish candidate is Trump, then I'm voting Trump. I knew very well also that Trump, being the less hawkish candidate, allowed me to vote, or enabled me in my mindset to vote for Jill Stein. Okay, people are like, oh, if you're not voting for Clinton, you're going to help Trump. Yeah, but that's also, Bernie was cheated. Before that coincidence, let's say in Syria, Trump was saying, hey, I want to bring our soldiers home. I want to bring our soldiers home. He said that here, right here. I'll read you this. That's like, that's like saying, you're a hypocrite for voting for Clinton if you want Wall Street reform. Well, the mentality on even though Democrats don't care about that, but the mentality would be, well, Democrats want Wall Street reform. They're perhaps could say the mentality is, well, they have Elizabeth Warren. It's the party more apt, so it's lesser evil. That type of thing. But even with Wall Street reform, they don't care. They vote alongside. Voted alongside Trump to repeal regulations. Democrats are weak in every way. But hold on one second. Oh, gosh, I just forgot what I was going to do. Okay. The Yahtzee. Love Tootsie Gabbard on film. Is Tootsie 2 coming out anytime soon? Tulsi, they actually told, thank you, the Yahtzee. Thank you. They actually told Tulsi not to mess with Clinton. Oh, yeah. So hold on. Trump. So, Syria. Trump, U.S. troops in Syria will leave relatively soon. That's April 24th, 2018. He was saying he wanted soldiers to leave. Then coincidence. Well, I'm not going to get into that, all that stuff. Okay. Hillary would never have said that. So he's the objectively less hawkish candidate. The Yahtzee. Well, Tulsi Gabbard. Let's see. Tulsi I think someone told her not to run. And that's another thing. For example, Tulsi Gabbard is absolutely amazing. So the Yahtzee won. She's absolutely amazing. She flew to Syria to find out what's really going on. And then Democrats are like, why'd you fly to Syria? How dare you? Oh, so you don't want greater knowledge regarding why we have soldiers there? Or maybe a way for us not to send more soldiers? Because you have to worry about mission creep. Yeah, also, you have to worry about, once Democrats lose Congress again. So I always bring this up. They need 24 seats. They're not going to get 24 seats. So Democrats, 24 seats Congress. To reclaim the House, Democrats need to flip 24 GOP seats. 25 are in Clinton territory. So what? There's zero enthusiasm. There's a hashtag walkaway movement. Democrats only talk about Russia. Nobody cares about Russia. And it's like Democrats hope to ride a wave of liberal enthusiasm. There's zero liberal enthusiasm. There's Trump derangement syndrome. They've made themselves crazy. They've made themselves crazy. There's zero enthusiasm. They're just running, and then Kavanaugh's gonna get nominated. So that'll be another just, blow to them. They hate each other, by the way. Like, you have no idea how I thank God every day that I left the left. You have no idea how happy. Every single day on the left, you suck, you're an idiot. Why are you bringing up, Bernie got cheated, get over it. You're an idiot. You're not even a leftist. That's like, you know what? You're right. I'm not. I actually want to bring our soldiers home. I don't want to destroy people's lives for one word said, whereas you don't care that Clinton said the same things. Wages, Obama economy's weakest link, now surging under Trump. Look at that. Well, that's the beginning of the year, but still. But and that's the thing. Let's just say there are things that Trump isn't doing well in the economy. Fine. He was supposed to have brought us into a nuclear war and recession all at the same time. It was the nuclear war recession. The nuclear war recession. He was supposed to be this menace to humanity, and he's not. He's not. So there you go. He's not. Another thing that I can't stand about the left is their inability to the fact that they have completely abandoned Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Well, Jay, I agree with you on that. I mean, that didn't happen. I agree with you on that. I mean, I'm not saying Trump is the Messiah at all. See, I don't want a political party that blames Russia. I don't want a political party that cheats its candidates. I don't want a political party that kisses the derriere, the slimy derriere of people like James Comey and James Clapper and John Brennan and Peter Strzok. I don't want a political party. And also there's political retribution. If you go ahead, you cheat. And by the way, I remember when I was on the left and I would be like, no, Clinton's going to lose. It's Bernie Sanders. He's much better. He's Bernie Sanders. I also believed well, first of all, he was better, but I also believed that Bernie would fight because he actually did say he wanted a contested convention. Okay, Bernie. Sanders, the Democratic National Convention will be a contested convention. So you tell that to a guy like me, who is like pretty hardcore in his mentality, and I'm like, it's game on, yeah, baby. Then I'm like, what the heck? The Democratic National Committee will be a contested convention. He could have made it a contested convention. He could have said, hey, here's the last-ditch effort. So, but he didn't. He didn't. And that's, I mean, like, there's also a matter of political retribution as well. You don't want to. According to U.S. official, charges have been drawn up against Julian Assange relating to previous WikiLeaks disclosures of classified U.S. documents. So, like I said, if Julian Assange is extradited to the U.S., and I don't believe that's going to take place, I believe that he'll win his freedom in the U.K. through the court process within the U.K. But if he does, I won't vote for Trump. And if Trump gets us into a quagmire or, destroys a country like Libya, I won't vote for Trump. Those are two reasons why I wouldn't vote for Trump. Otherwise, I'm voting for Trump. Denise, get better. Get better. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what's going on right now. All right. So let's just see the latest rumblings. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is still in politics. There's been zero accountability. Zero accountability. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's reconvene. I'll be back in a couple hours or so. Exactly, I agree with you. I agree with you, Millie, 100%. Thank you so much to the super chat. Thank you, everybody. And we will reconvene in a couple of hours. You've all been wonderful. Thank you so much for your support. And you have a wonderful Monday. I will see you very, very soon. Thank you to the super chat again.